Hello and welcome to this first video in the series producing 3D rendered images using 3ds Max and AutoCAD. And in this series I'm hoping to create a number of 3D rendered images of a particular property, and the property in question is shown in this plan on the screen here. We've got an architect's drawing of a property, and we're going to take this information and we're going to use it to develop our 3D models. Now, just a quick word on the software that I'm using. Initially, I'm going to be using the latest version of AutoCAD LT. So at the time of recording, that's 2018. But that's not to say you can't use any other version of AutoCAD. You could be using the full version, the full vanilla version, or any other derivative of the AutoCAD products. It's quite possible you might be using those. And any older version is fine as well. All the tools and features that we're going to be using in AutoCAD are available in much older versions. So we're only going to be using very simple tools. The other piece of software we're going to be using is, of course, 3ds Max. And again, at the time of recording this series, I'm going to start off at least using 3ds Max 2018. Again, that's not to say you can't be using older versions, because the tools we're going to be using, certainly for the modeling process at least, are going to be the same throughout versions or older versions of 3ds Max. So as long as you've got a working version of AutoCAD and 3ds Max, you'll be able to follow along and work on the similar tasks. So just flicking back to AutoCAD, I have here a drawing, an AutoCAD drawing, an AutoCAD file, and it contains information about the building plan that we're going to use to develop our 3D model. And if I just move around the drawing, I'll just zoom out and pan around. You can see there are a number of views. So initially we've got the ground floor view here, and you can see there are a number of elements showing the interior, the walls, some of the furniture, and also some of the exterior details, some of the landscaping. There's a swimming pool area here. If we pan up the screen, we can see here's the first floor area, and we've got this main staircase entrance, this sort of atrium here, and then we've got this main lounge area and a kitchen dining area. And this is the area we're going to focus on initially. Our first visualization is going to be an interior visualization from within this lounge area and this kitchen area. So this is the area we're going to be focusing on initially. But we've also got some elevations here to help us with the modeling process. These are going to be particularly useful when it comes to modeling exterior views of our building and placing it into a scene. So useful information here. Now, as is very typical with any CAD drawing, I mean, I haven't produced these drawings, they've been given to me by the designer, by the architect, and I have really no idea, I've had no control over the quality or the information that's been added to this particular drawing. And you can see there's quite a lot of information on here, a lot of information that I don't actually need. But I'm just going to come back up to the first floor area. This is the area that we're going to be focusing on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take certain information from this particular CAD drawing, and I'm going to tidy this up, and I'm going to use that information then to start to build my 3D model inside of 3ds Max. But at the moment there's an awful lot of clutter and detail that I don't need. So the first process, and the one we're going to look at in this particular video, is how to tidy up and extract the information, or the pertinent information, the relevant information that we need to start or to begin to create our 3D model. So the first thing I'm going to do is start to remove some of this clutter. Now, there's a number of ways I can do this. I can just delete the information, or I can hide layers, I can remove information from the screen, and just either way will work as long as I'm just left with the information that I need for exporting into 3ds Max. So I'm going to start by using some simple tools here. I'm going to come up to this particular toolbar here in the layers area and click on this turn off layer of selected objects. So I'm going to select that button there, and I'm going to click on some information that I no longer want to see on my screen. So I'm going to start off by clicking on this kind of purpley information. This is the lighting information. I don't need that for my model, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm also going to turn off and remove the information for these hidden lines. This is some old detail that was stored on the drawing. I'm just going to right click to end that sequence, and I'm going to repeat that command because I'm just going to now turn off this hatching information. Now in doing that, I've actually removed an awful lot of other information, so I don't want that, so I'm going to just undo that and bring that back. That was something that I didn't want to happen, so in this instance I'm actually going to erase this information. In fact, before I go much further, I'm actually going to save this drawing as a new file because I want to keep the original file as safe as possible. So I'm going to change this to VDR01 and save that as a new scene. So now this is the information I'm modeling. The original data is safe. If I do need to go back to that and restore some information, I have that available to me. So I'm just going to keep erasing some of this information that I don't want. I'm going to take these arrows out for the staircases, and I'm just going to come through and erase all this information here. In fact, if we look at the layer list here, we can see there are an awful lot of layers on this drawing, probably more than are necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to perform a quick purge. So I'm just going to type in the command, or begin to type in the command purge, and you can see that pops up in my options list here. So I'm going to click on there, and you can see here that I've got a lot of blocks that aren't being used in my drawing, so I can purge those out. I've got a couple of dimension styles, and sure enough I've got loads of layers here that aren't being used in my drawing. So I'm just going to purge all, and just keep purging that until the purge button is ghosted out. I can't do any more purging, so I can close that. So that's at least got rid of some of the layers in my drawing. It's tidied up a little bit. It's removed excess blocks that aren't being used. I'm just going to carry on erasing information from this drawing. I don't need these arrows. I'm going to just isolate a layer because I want to see if there's information on a particular layer that I can work with. So I'm going to select the hatch pattern, and I'm going to right click, and sure enough there is just remaining on the screen is just the hatch information. So I'm going to erase that because I don't need that. I don't need to import that into my 3ds Max model. Now I'm going to unisolate everything, so I'll bring everything back again, and again just a process of just beginning to remove information. I don't need, in fact I'm going to remove the kitchen layout. I don't need that information just yet as I'm building up the walls of my model. I just want to keep this fairly simple. Not sure what that line is there at the moment, but I'm just going to get rid of that. Some hidden line detail, and I'm also going to get rid of this hidden line detail here showing this sort of wooden slats that are going to be over the top of the area above the decking. I'm just going to remove that. So I'm left now with the basic wall shapes, some window detail, some furniture. I'm going to remove that as well. I don't need that information just yet for my basic 3D modeling. I'm just going to remove all of that. I'm just removing all the clutter from this drawing. I don't really need this arrow showing the direction of the stair. In fact, I'm going to take that hidden line out. I don't need that. That detail there is showing a picture on the wall on an elevation. I'm going to remove that. I'll take out these cross lines inside of the lift, and all these red lines, I don't need these either to be in my drawing. So just quickly erase those, and this detail here of the WC. Just going to take out all these door swing details. They're not useful, and again I'm not sure what this detail is here, but I'm going to take that out for the time being. Take out these arcs as well for the door swings. Now if you look closely, in between each of these glazed areas here there are some red lines. I think these indicate the glazing panels, so I'm going to isolate those and just see what's left. Yeah, again I don't need all these red lines, so I'm just going to erase those from the drawing. Again I can go in here. I don't need to do these, but it just helps really with the information that gets imported. I'm just going to erase these lines, keeping it nice and tidy. So just spending an extra few minutes tidying up the drawing, or the CAD drawing, is really going to help when it comes to importing and having information available inside of 3ds Max. We don't need too much information. We don't want to be overwhelmed by the information that's available to us. I'm going to get rid of all this here. Now I could spend a bit more time maybe investigating the layer information for this drawing to isolate the layers and remove or hide the layers, but I'm just quite happy to just delete information. Don't forget, if I find that I've deleted information that I need, I can go back to the original VDR_00 drawing and re-import or re-merge that information. There's a line there that I don't need, center line. So that's basically removed a lot of the clutter, and that is now at a point where I think I'm happy to take that information into 3ds Max. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to my copy to clipboard tool, and I'm going to select all the information that I've tidied up. So all that information is now, as soon as I press the right hand mouse button, is sent to my clipboard of my computer. I'm now going to start a brand new drawing. Okay, so here is a new drawing. Now my template that I'm using, incidentally, here, if I just, let me just close that down and I'll start a new drawing using this option here, is I'm using the AutoCAD LT ISO template because it is a metric millimeter template. This drawing has been done in millimeters. This CAD drawing here has been designed and measured and set and scaled in millimeters. I know that. That's something I checked before I started. So my new drawing, my empty template, I need to match the same units. So now I'm going to come up to my paste option here. I'm not just going to paste in randomly. I'm going to drop this down and choose paste to original coordinates, and then when I zoom back out, you can see there is the same information that I've copied from my VDR01 drawing into my blank drawing template. I'm now going to save this as my VDR first floor. I'm just going to call that VDRFF, and I might underscore that as an import as well, just to remind me that's the information that I'm importing into 3ds Max. And that's now saved. So that file is now ready to import into 3ds Max, and we'll take a look at how we can do that in the next video.